The reason I'm doing this is because, firstly, I wanna remember what it's like to live again. I want to remember what it's like to feel free. And by doing that, I wanna empower so many other people who are in exactly the same position as me, and probably 10 times worse, to be able to feel free as well. And to do that, I have to educate myself. I have to be strong. I have to be, at the end of it, a completely different person to the person I am now. I think what I want to learn more than anything, what I want to learn is that I got HIV and it's okay, like, that's what I want to learn more than anything.
I used to be famous for this, captaining Wales and the British Lions.
Hey, Gareth.
Hi, lovely.
How you doing?
I'm good, yeah. You alright?
Yeah, not too bad.
These days, I'm mostly known for this.
Hello, bad. How are you? I'm good, man. You well? To see you. You too,
Working as a commentator and rugby pundit.
I thought that was going to be you.
All of my life has been lived in the public eye. I love what I do, and I've always been blessed by the love and support of the general public. But I'm truly afraid that this might be about to change. Because the real me is someone entirely different. The real me has for some time hidden the fact and the shame, the deep, deep shame, that I live with HIV. Be honest, what do you think of when you think of those 3 letters? Do you think of this, this, this?
So protect yourself. And read this leaflet when it arrives. If you ignore AIDS, it could be the death of you. So don't die of ignorance.
I was 12 when the AIDS hysteria broke in the late 1980s. It scared me and the whole country senseless. Then, the equation was simple. HIV equaled AIDS, equaled plague, which equaled death. And anyone could get it. These days, medication means HIV is not a death sentence. But for me, the stigma is definitely still overwhelming.
I take medication every single morning, a single tablet every day. And I religiously take it at 6 AM, and it's weird because on a weekend, when my alarm goes, I hit my snooze button and I sleep till 6:30, or I snooze till 6:30, because that 30 minutes is not having to wake up to reality. I understand what it does for me, and it's a necessity. It's keeping me alive. It keeps my husband safe. It keeps everybody who comes in contact with me safe. But for me, it's that constant reminder that I live with a virus that is a massive, massive burden that I carry because it's such a big secret. So when I take it, it's that reminder that my day is beginning, my day of lying is beginning, and also a day of me living with HIV starts again.
Today, modern medication prevents my HIV developing into AIDS. It suppresses the virus to the point where it is undetectable in my body. And as long as I take my medication, I cannot pass it on. That's the reality. But when I was first diagnosed, it took me a long time to process this, and I was too ashamed to tell people. I didn't even tell my parents. And the catalyst to my going public now was that a tabloid journalist doorstepped my dad in a very public place to quiz him about my HIV.
5:30 in the morning when we were on the railway station.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, someone here, he was asking for directions.
Directions?
That's all. And next thing, he's asking me personal questions.
Yeah.
Then I return home, having a cup of tea, there's a knock on the door. I open the door and lo and behold, he's on my doorstep.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got a microphone, recording device in his pocket.
Yeah.
I felt, no, I'm not going to lower myself and get an argument that I know you were recording.
Yeah.
As far as I know, you've got an HIV infection, which to me is manageable.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's manageable. I don't know why you're being persecuted over it. It's not as if you're a mass murderer. I was very annoyed over that. But now, being 70, I know I don't look it. But we deserve a quiet retirement.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody knocking my door.
No.
I just don't want it.
No, and
I
they shouldn't be allowed to.
I got a right to my privacy.
Yeah.
And we've got to do this for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's makes
We've got to
it
go
happen.
public so we can have a bit of peace and quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wrong. It is so wrong.
A tabloid threatening to reveal my HIV was bad enough, but dragging my parents into it was appalling. And while lawyers fought on my behalf to prevent the story being printed, my life began spiralling out of control. I started having really bad panic attacks and some very dark thoughts.
This is a cafe where I sat where I was definitely at my lowest. What I did every day was I always turned the page in my diary because I just felt like I was surviving, I wasn't living, and every day I could turn a page was a success. So I sat in this exact restaurant one day and wrote how I was feeling. So first of all, I started off with asking the question, it's like a question to myself, am I alive today? As in, am I alive the day that I get to this point to be able to read it? Because today, which was the day I wrote it, I feel like I want to die. And then I sat here and I wrote, as I watched the world go by, and wonder again what my purpose in life is. Is it to breathe toxic air? I only survive from seeing others achieve and the love of my amazing husband, family, and my friends. Will I ever find my purpose, or will I die never knowing? If I survive, thank you. And if I'm dead, thank you. God bless you all. Stephen, I love you in life and death. I struggle now, actually, to remember how I felt because it was that bad. Like, I was that scared. Everybody was an enemy. I didn't trust anyone, so I could never really confide in anyone. And I had loads of friends, but I was so alone. And there's nothing worse when people can see someone and, you know, we got a phone book full of friends and got people ringing to go out. But you can have so many friends, but still be so alone if you choose to be. And that's how I felt.
If you can believe it, while this was happening, I was appearing in Panto. Oh yes, I was. On stage, it was all smiles and teeth. Off it, life was hell. Would the tabloid print? Would the story leak? Would the cheers turn to boos? One person got me through it all. I confided in Samantha Womack. She was playing the evil Queen Lucretia, but truly, she was my guardian angel. I haven't been able to face seeing Samantha since those dark, dark days, but I want her to be the first to know outside of my family that I'm planning to go public.
Give me a heart attack. Oh.
It's the one thing I said I wasn't going to do is cry.
You okay?
I am. And I feel all weird because, like, I suppose I've been putting off seeing you because, one, there's a massive part of me has to go back to go forward.
Yeah.
But secondly, there's a massive part of me doesn't want to go back because I'm shit scared.
What do you mean?
Because I feel like... So, the times when we were together in the theatre and I told you everything that...
You were in a complete state because you didn't know what to do and you were completely lost. And I couldn't bear seeing you being put in that position. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were trapped. You looked hunted. It's what you looked like.
I've never been that scared in my entire life. And I thought, I don't want to go back here because I want to avoid fear. Like, I don't want to go back to that place that's going to fill me with dread and fear. But I think to motivate me to go forward, I need to kind of revisit that fear because in a twisted way, it's the one thing that's driving me to be positive is like, I am not fucking sitting in the changing rooms.
Terrified.
Petrified.
Of what other people.
And I've decided that I'm going to tell people that I have HIV, but I'm going to educate them by telling them.
I just think that's absolutely the right thing. And also, more importantly, I'm so sick of the idea of you being held in a corner, you know, by the press or by individuals that mean you harm, who mean you harm.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with contracting any disease. We all have them all the time. We get them all the time as human beings. There should be no stigma. The only way you can smash this is by you understanding before anybody else everything that you are scared of is not true. It's not true. The only way they can get you is if you allow that and for you to just stand up and go, and what? What are you going to do? I know who I am.
My fear is I'm still going to walk down the street wherever I go because somebody new is going to be on that street who I don't know.
Baby,
and I'm still going to feel like that.
You're going to be in fear of that. We're all in fear of that all the time. I've said this to you and I mean it. I'm with you 100%. Anything you need me to be, I'll be.
Will it be 𝗃𝗏?
No, let's move on from that, Gareth.
I could never move on from that.
You got an attachment to that 𝗃𝗏. It's because you bonded with me first when I had the massive
It
one.
is.
Am I a letdown to you now?
I used to come in for an emotional chat and she'd be there in this massive horn. I'm like, I'll come back later.
Giving you really sober advice.
Yeah.
Like
come back later.
Being really deep and profound in my panto outfit. Oh my God.
Ah, she's...
Life is crazy, hey?
It is now. It is.
I'm proud of you, I love you, end of.
Samantha is still now what she was then. A rock, a pillar. Back when we were in Panto, my barrister finally managed to stop the tabloid going to print. But they are still sat on the story, and the fear that they may one day publish has never gone away. So I'm going to go public. I'm not sure how or when, but I've just taken my first step. As things stand, apart from taking a tablet each morning, the only time I'm really forced to face my HIV is when my bloods are tested every 6 months. Something I find really traumatic.
So that's the door. I usually go in there. The minute I go in, or even the minute I pull up in the car, it's baseball hat on, usually scarf around me, coat zipped up, and go into the hospital under disguise. And you know what? You always wonder with people, the first thing they ever ask people when they see them in a hospital is, what are you here for? And I just fear confronting somebody and them asking me, and all I have is a virus. And I'm coming into the hospital to check that the virus is as it should be and that I'm well and healthy, but everything about it makes me feel unwell and dirty.
My appointments are always outside of the regular hours, and my medic, Stuart, lets me in through a side entrance.
All right, bud.
How are you?
Same as always.
Yeah, some company.
Back when I was diagnosed, I informed everyone who needed to know, began to take medication, and to attend this clinic every 6 months.
I'm going to take a seat in the seat of joy. You're okay though?
I'm all right, but I don't know why is it coming to the hospital? Like, why am I so? I don't know. I know I've always been petrified to come here.
Yeah, kind of it's realisation, because normally it's day to day. People they forget about it. It's part of their everyday life, just taking the tablet. But then when they come in and see us, it's a bit like, oh, it's real. I need to actually have some bloods taken. I need to talk to people about it. They can't put it at the back of their head anymore.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's a good one, Stu.
Oh. Right then. Bit of a jab, take a deep breath. Tablets all okay?
Yeah. I think I've got a month left.
Okay. Marvellous, well done. Is that all right? You stop bleeding? Do you need more water?
Fuck yeah, I do. I was going to be sick then. I'm never like this.
It's all the adrenaline.
The stereotype of someone with HIV is they are weak, fragile, frail. I am none of those things. In fact, I want to prove that people with this condition can take on extreme physical challenges. So I'm giving myself 6 months to train to do an Ironman. A 2.5-mile swim, followed by a 112-mile cycle ride, followed by a marathon. And if all goes to plan, I will announce that I'm living with HIV on the morning I compete in the world's hardest Ironman in 𝗕𝗏. This fella is Shane Williams, Wales' second greatest rugby player ever, my mate and an Ironman veteran. He's offered to give me some training, but first I want to tell him my secret. Right, son. I suppose I better tell him why I'm doing this crazy thing.
Yeah, you better.
Yeah. So firstly, to kind of tear up, I'm telling you because, one, I hugely respect you as like a professional, but also as like an all-round nice guy. So I respect your reaction, I respect who you are, I respect what you have to say. So please just be yourself in it, right? That's all I ask, is you be yourself. So I have HIV, right? Other people know that I have HIV, and I've lived for a while with them knowing and them threatening me of telling the world basically that I have HIV and I have no control. So I've decided to take control of my own life. So now I've jumped in, I'm now completely submerged in the water, and the floor is yours.
Okay, well, you know, it's not something I was expecting of, I'm gonna be honest. But you know, my concern is that you're okay. That's all I give a shit about, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't affect anything. As long as you feel that, then you know, nothing changes, pal. I'm glad you told me. I feel honoured. It is strange. It is strange, but you know, like, the good thing is you seem all right in yourself. You seem well, and
yeah. And I want to do the Ironman, right? Because you can't help but be respectful of the people who are doing it. So I want to do it because I wanted to show that, you know what, by having HIV, it's not stopped me doing things. In fact, I'm doing things that I never would have done if I hadn't had HIV. Yeah. So it's actually motivating me to do things because I want to motivate to see other people who live with the condition as well, to not have to kind of live in the shadows and not put themselves out there because of fear of persecution and rejection. Yeah,
what I would say is, though, this now just, you know, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't affect nothing. And I think you need to realise that's the same everywhere in Wales, that'll be the same everywhere in the UK and in the world. The fact you're doing this Ironman is great, but I don't want you to think you've got to do that to prove any points, because I think you've already done that.
I'm petrified of 𝗃𝗏.
Yeah.
I'm really afraid of a backlash.
I think, yeah, look, you're one of the bravest guys I know, I've got to be honest, and you know, some of the things you've had to do and endure, you know, I take my hat off to you, and this is obviously very big, but if there's someone's going to get through it, mate, and have the support, it's you, and I mean that honestly.
Thank you, bud.
No worries.
I love you,
no
bud.
Worries,
Come here.
Thank you, boss. No worries,
Legend.
No worries.
If I can get the same unquestioning support from those around me, I can give the Ironman a good crack. With the right amount of training, I can cycle 112 miles and run a marathon. But swim 2.5 miles in the sea? Well, I can't swim. Water terrifies me, so I've never learned. This is not going to be straightforward.
Good. Remember to let your hair out, Gaz. Okay, there. And through your nose, yeah? Relax your shoulders as well. You're all stiff, okay? Just relax everything.
Dave will be my swimming guru.
Toes, 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 remember? Okay? Your toes. You start off really nice with your toes. They're breaking the surface. And all of a sudden then, you start stiffening them up. So just get that nice flexibility coming, all right?
Training for an Ironman, coming to terms with my HIV, preparing to go public, none of these would be possible without the love and support of my family, particularly my amazing husband, Stephen.
Chicken breast and creme fraiche.
It's a far cry from beans on toast.
Oh, listen, bud.
Isn't it, boyo?
I'm a chef trapped in a rugby player's body. Well, I'm not even in a rugby player's body anymore. Cooking's my new thing.
First meal he ever did, beans on toast, and the kitchen was like a disaster zone.
Tell him the first meal you've ever done for me.
I don't think I've done one yet.
No, you haven't. He's never, ever, ever cooked for me,
I've offered. I have offered.
Ever, not once.
What do you make of his training, Steve?
Brilliant. So it's been swimming, running.
It's taken over my life, innit?
Yeah, it has really. But still.
But why I'm doing it is more important, agreed?
Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
And I think that's cool, because that's what you support me on, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I'd be screwed otherwise with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to teach so many people what is HIV, because I was one of the ignorant ones, I'll be honest with you, like so many, to the point where I was one of these, or if you're contact, and I use things of Gareth's and...
Because it's interesting what some of the your family have said. For instance, some people were like, oh, well, I don't mind. I'd still drink from the same cup as him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know then that, like, if they bled, then I could still tend them bleeding. They thought it could be passed that way.
Exactly. So I think it's a fantastic thing he's doing. He's showing that you can have HIV, but you can still do the sports and the Ironman, for goodness sake. So,
but, yeah, but also showing I can just live a normal life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I've always been judged on what I do. So part of me, I'm not going to like it, but part of me is like, thinking, okay, but at least I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Or you have people walk past us on the street and somebody may say something, or somebody may look a little bit different.
You know, I've been thinking about that as well. It is the general public, and how we going to be treated, and when we're out, and it's I'm going to just have to take it on board and deal with it, and so yeah, I'm going to cross it when it comes to it.
Okay.
Definitely.
I live with HIV. Stephen doesn't. So how does that work? There are so many myths and misconceptions surrounding the condition. So I've arranged to meet Professor 𝗀𝗶𝗰𝗲, a world expert in HIV medicine, to sort out some fact from fiction. But the irony is, as I'm still hiding my status, we've got to talk in a tucked away corner of this massive laboratory. That's what keeping a secret does. It forces you into corners.
The most important thing I can say is that in the UK, people with HIV who are diagnosed early have the same life expectancy as people who don't have it. But our challenge is to make that a healthy life, not just physically, but mentally, and to reduce the strain that this causes on people in terms of their worries and in terms of society, because people also worry a lot about passing the virus on to others.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
And what's happened recently is amazing research, which our unit was part of, which is doing research to see if people who are on treatment and the level of their virus is what we call undetectable, so can't be measured, whether they can pass it on when they have sex with their partner without a condom. And what's been shown is that in hundreds of thousands of sex acts, if the virus is undetectable, it cannot be passed on. And that is what we call undetectable equals untransmittable, U equals U. So people can believe and let go of that sense that they are somehow infectious or can harm other people. And sometimes when I tell people U equals U, they cry. And they say thank you. And they say, I cannot tell you what this means to me. And I see people getting well. And I see people having children, young women having babies. And I see people getting their lives back.
That was a Martin Luther King speech. So what you say U equals U, does that also account for maybe friends you're with or parents or close relatives as far as sharing a cup or tending to a wound, or other things that other people in society still would fear if they knew you had HIV?
Absolutely. You cannot pass it on by hugging, kissing, touching, sharing plates, any of those methods that you've talked about. And the reality is the trials have shown 0 transmissions. Or there is 0 risk of passing it on. And our responsibility as scientists, as doctors, as healthcare professionals, is to keep telling the truth. Because there are no public health campaigns now from the government saying U equals U, you can't pass it on. There were the campaigns, which were necessary in the 80s, saying, be careful, use condoms, you could die. But there's never been anything since then saying, everyone is safe, stand down, there's no risk. And when people are brave and are prepared to speak on camera, it's an enormous help. I cannot tell you what it will mean to people, the fact that you're doing what you're doing. We're a community of doctors, of scientists, of activists, like in the Terence Higgins Trust, National AIDS Trust, and everyone in this whole community of people who worked with HIV will be here to support you, because we're all behind you. We're all behind you.
Thank you.
Because what you've done, what you're doing is important to every person that I see. It will mean something to the people that I look after.
Okay. I just get scared. I just get scared, that's all.
I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like I'm fearful of everything. I'm fearful of rejection. I'm fearful of people not being the same with me anymore. People not wanting to talk to me, not wanting to be in the same room, not want to be in the same gym, not want to touch the same machinery, not want to touch the same knife and fork, drink from the same cup. I'm fearful of waking up every single day, fearful of what's going to be in the newspaper. I'm fearful of it affecting my family's life. I'm fearful of when my mum and dad would go to the shop or when they go over the pub. I'm fearful of every misunderstanding that's out there. And I don't blame people for having the misunderstanding, because nothing's ever been done to educate people.
The one place I leave behind my fears and doubts is in the training. The cycling and the running are getting easier, and I'm even beginning to, if not enjoy, then at least see progress with the swimming. I've graduated from Dave's paddling pool to the swimming baths, and now I'm floundering around Llanelli docks. Currently, it's the challenge of the Ironman that's keeping me afloat.
If I didn't have the swimming, and if I didn't have this drive that I have to complete the toughest physical challenge I've ever competed in my life, then I definitely would have pulled out of the other challenge that is, without a shadow of doubt, the biggest challenge in my life as well. As much as the bigger picture this isn't about swimming, for sure, swimming has always been a huge fear for me. So it runs parallel with the fear of society's response. But if I can overcome my fear of water, then I feel like I'm strong enough to overcome the fear of anything else.
And right on cue, that other fear surfaces. An encounter with the public.
He's freezing. Thank you, Gareth. Appreciate it, mate.
Thank you.
Oh, he's shivering all morning, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
You cheerio in our family.
Some women wanted a photograph and a hug, and told me they loved me, which is always really, really nice. Always really nice. And then one of my fears is that will kind of go, and all of a sudden who I was prior to people knowing I have HIV might be forgotten, and then that will potentially deter people from wanting to be associated or be around me.
Obviously, I'm still not ready to go public, but I've decided it's time to dip my toe in the water and share my status with some strangers. So I've agreed to visit the Terence Higgins Trust, the largest HIV charity in the UK. The Trust offers a number of free services: fast test results, which will basically tell you within 10 minutes if you've been exposed to the virus, a direct helpline and counselling services. I'm meeting with Karen, who heads up the Cardiff office, and 3 people with HIV. Gavin, who is open about it, and 2 women who are so afraid of exposure that they've asked to be filmed anonymously. So say the moment you found out, how did it affect you?
Well, I was 17. I was pregnant with my first child. I thought that my life was over, and the child that I was having, it was over. It's not really until he was 18 months old, when he had his last blood test, that I found out that he didn't have it, and then it was time to think about all the drugs that I had to take and stuff. I come from a small town. Word travels very quick, as I gathered the night it came out that I had what I had. I was actually helping in my son's school at the time. I didn't disclose to the head teacher because I didn't feel I needed to. But some of the parents then went down the school. They weren't happy about me being around their kids. I can remember somebody telling me that there was a huge group of parents all around the head teacher to get me out of the school. And then the head teacher told me that I had to get out of the school.
The head teacher?
Yeah. So that was kind of the end of that. And as hard as it was, I walked down with my mum to pick him up. You could hear everybody like, pss, 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 pss. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm stood here. But I thought, no, that's my child. I'm picking him up from school. It's been hard, but now he's older, he knows. He's all good about it, and he's taken it better than any adult ever has in my whole life, at 9 years old, so.
My experience is a little bit different. I was diagnosed some years ago. Things were a bit different. I thought I was going to drop down dead. I just couldn't tell anyone else, especially my parents. I didn't want to worry them. I just wanted to keep it to myself. And there's another part of my life. I'm not really embarrassed to talk about it, but the sexual part, because of fear, that part of me is actually what I'd say is dead. Completely dead, because I'm really protecting myself.
But that is you. It's your mental state that's holding you back there.
That's so fucking sad. Don't you just want to be, like, you deserve to be loved by someone. You deserve to have a relationship. HIV shouldn't make...
I know what you mean. I understand what you mean.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk out of turn, I'm just...
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Do you think if the stigma wasn't such a problem in Wales, it would be easier for you to feel comfortable and confident in disclosing your status, going public with it in the sense of telling your friends, family, and having those general conversations? Do you think if it was more open and acceptable, socially acceptable, you would not worry so much about those relationships?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what? You can live with having HIV. Do you know what you can't live with? Is other people's reactions to you having HIV.
Yeah.
And that is fucking sad. Because you can live, and I can live now with having HIV because I know what having HIV means. I know what it means to my life and my life expectancy and how I can live my life. But the fact that other people don't know this then affects the way you live your life.
This has been a bit of a light bulb moment for me, because I've just realised that, like everyone else in this room, I finally come to terms with the fact I'm living with HIV. And you know what? I no longer feel dirty. I no longer feel shame. What I do feel is anger that these people, that I, have to live in fear because of ignorance. So it's about time I got serious about going public. I'm meeting up with my agent Emmanuel to decide when and how to do just that.
Talking of how we actually get this out, we have the Ironman on the 15th, which is a Sunday, so it needs to come out before then. We don't want to go too early in the week, because if we do, you have a whole week of build-up of messages and stuff. I think it's too intense. And actually, the Ironman itself is pretty tough. So one option is obviously the social media, Instagram and Twitter. How do you feel about just doing something like that?
Well, I like the fact on social media, you control your own you control your own press, really. I think the days of like press, to me, are almost dying. Like they get their stories from social media almost. So it's the way of controlling it. And again, yes, you can't put everything out there in a social media post.
Because people then going to start going, well, are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Respond to everyone?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, if you respond to one,
you've got to respond.
You've got to respond to everyone.
And if you don't respond, they're going to say maybe he really is ill, or maybe there is a problem.
But also, I'm in a place now where it's like, right, okay, do you know what? Here's the information. Deal with it.
Yeah. The other way, which obviously we did when he came out, was print. So go to a newspaper.
Yeah. But the only thing with if going to print, say, as you call it, or going to a newspaper, is am I not then going to what I've been running from?
Yeah, but maybe that's not a bad thing. The good thing about the newspaper is it's a considered narrative that tells the story. So someone can read it, hopefully from start to finish, and go, okay, I get this, he's okay, Iron Man documentary. So there are advantages. The one thing I don't like is the headlines. We won't really be able to control the headlines. And they could be quite dramatic, you know, Thomas, whatever.
Yeah, right. Well, you can't control headlines.
No, you'll have a lot of editorial sway and sympathy, and you can look at the article and take out things that maybe...
But they'll want to sell a newspaper on a
headline. So we have to bear that in mind.
Would I be foolish to talk to a tabloid? Or has Emmanuel got a point? Should I try and get them on my side, rather than turn my back on them? I do want as many people as possible to hear what I've got to say. And the fact is, we've got to move on from the myths of the 80s to the truths of today. And here's a few I didn't know. There are an estimated 101,000 of us living with HIV in the UK. 69% of us are male, 31% female, and almost half of us contracted it through heterosexual contact. There are also 319 children under the age of 15 receiving HIV care.
So today I'm going to meet up with the people who run an organisation called 𝗃𝗶𝗰𝗲, which is for children infected or affected by HIV, born with the virus.
Every year, 𝗃𝗶𝗰𝗲 run a summer camp for around 100 teenagers. For most of them, it's their only opportunity to interact with others with the same condition. The project is managed by Amanda.
Well, it's a bit of a pressure cooker. You know, they have to live their daily lives, not talking about it, hiding medicine, you know, sometimes avoiding certain situations because they can't work out how to manage it, like a sleepover.
Yeah.
Sleepovers are really difficult for kids who
Yeah.
live with HIV often because they get really stressed about understandably, about what do I do with my meds? What if someone finds them? Or I just won't take them? Or families can find it really worrying, so they don't get to go, you know? So the HIV is just kept hidden in day-to-day life.
So is this all about creating this very, very safe place?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you don't have to whisper HIV?
Yeah. It's not just a support camp where they come and they do outward bands and they have fun. They attend workshops which explore HIV, and for many children that's the very first time HIV has been spoken about openly to them outside of their clinic. And that can be overwhelming, can be uncomfortable, so they need a lot of support.
For any number of reasons, it isn't appropriate to film the youngsters attending camp. But two of the volunteers, Becky and 𝗏𝗏, who both live with HIV, first came here as teenagers.
So you guys, what age did you find out?
Well, I actually found out when I was about 6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in a children's home in South Africa, and that was a place where all of us children in the home were born with HIV. So we found out quite young because we were asking questions. Why do we have to take medication? Why do we have to go to the doctor so often? Why are we always getting sick and missing school?
What age did you find out then?
I found out at 12, and I didn't deal with it very well. I didn't know that anyone my age had it. I didn't know that people were living with it. That was the big feeling that I got as soon as I walked in as a camper, and there were like 100 other kids there. And I think I remember asking someone, like someone who looked like they were in charge, and being like, does everyone have HIV? And I was so surprised that yeah, you know, everyone around me was also positive. And it was like life-changing. It was a really good experience.
So prior to this, like growing up in school, did you lose friends?
Yeah, in primary school, because all of us in the home went to the same primary school, one of my friends from the home told one of her friends in the school, and it literally went around the school like wildfire.
Right.
Our teacher actually pulled me and the other girl that I lived with in front of the whole class and was like, "Do you have HIV? Do you?"
Really?
No. And I lost like all of my friends in that year. Oh, no. That was just in primary school, and then yeah.
So what about first boyfriends or sexual partners?
It was scary. It was terrifying every time that I would have to tell someone, because they might be disgusted by you. They might, like, there's so many reactions that are going through your head.
Yeah.
And I have had some really bad reactions from boyfriends.
I'm doing this documentary because I want to educate, I want to empower, and I want to break stigmas. Because everything you've spoke about, I also live with. And when I leave these gates, I'm going to be shit scared. And I'm going to be petrified.
Yeah.
Thank you. Group hug.
Yeah!
Come on. I feel quite empowered, and I feel very safe. This is the first time I've been in an open space. This is the first time I've been around a group of people who, I'll say, for the want of a better word, yes, have the same condition as me, but I'd rather say around a group of people who ain't gonna judge me. So I don't need to be in a small room. I don't need to say HIV lower than the rest of my sentence, because I'm not gonna be judged.
The trips to 𝗙𝗵𝗯 and the Terence Higgins Trust took such a weight off me. I hit training for the Ironman with renewed vigour. I was finally feeling positive about life, positive about going public with my HIV, even, dare I say it, looking forward to it. And then, just 6 weeks before the Ironman, a tabloid published this.
So the headline says, "Sports star in HIV shock." So it's a shock article, right? And then it says, "A British sports star is set to publicly announce they are HIV positive." Fine. The International intends to break the news on social media to fight the stigma of living with the virus, which can cause AIDS. Now, there's no reason at all for them to put which can cause AIDS in there, because what I'm trying to do is fight the stigma. And as he wrote fight the stigma, in the next breath, he then wrote which can cause AIDS. So don't forget about that.
Then he says, the brave personality, worshipped by millions of fans, is timing the announcement just before a sports event next month in which they're competing. He takes a daily cocktail of drugs to prevent his HIV progression to AIDS. One, I don't take a daily cocktail of drugs at all. I take one tablet in the morning. There's no need, again, for him to keep writing the word AIDS. He's trying to, like, sensationalise and dirty this whole thing. British figure skater John Curry, who won gold at the 1976 Winter Olympics, who was somebody I've never met and have no connection with at all, so I don't know why they wrote it, said that announced he was HIV positive in 1987 and he died of an AIDS-related heart attack, age 44. Now, why the fuck you have to write that? I have no idea. You could have wrote millions of examples of people who have been diagnosed with HIV and are living healthy, happy, normal lives, yet he decides to choose one who died of AIDS, God rest his soul. And what really pisses me off is the fact that they all understand why I'm trying to do it, right? It's to break stigma. They can't be that dull. So just let me fucking do it in my own time. Let me fucking do it. Like, I don't know what they get. Is it that maybe when I decide to do it, they can say, well, 6 weeks ago, we told you, we had the scoop that potentially it was going to happen. I don't give a fuck. It's not about a scoop. It's not about potential. It's not about a headline. It's about changing people's attitudes. And shit like this, to me, doesn't help. Shit like this makes it 10 times fucking worse.
Anger aside, the article is a reminder that I'm damned whatever I do. I could still choose not to go public, but will have to continue living my life in fear of a tabloid revealing my HIV. Or I can go public on my terms, but risk a paper using this information as an excuse to rummage around my private life, to harass me, my friends, my family. I need some advice. So Emmanuel and I have arranged to meet David 𝗕𝗏𝗯𝗲, the barrister who has so far helped me keep the original story out of the press.
The right to privacy is as much about you being able to control when you speak about things that are private to you and when you don't, as it is about stopping other people speaking about your private life. Because you have spoken about a particular area of your private life, that means that other people can speak about it too. But that doesn't mean they can say anything they want to say, and it doesn't mean they can go further. Just because you've spoken about a private medical condition doesn't mean your entire medical history can be discussed. And if people overstep the mark, well, then that's what lawyers are there to deal with.
Do you find there's a fascination with information that people really don't need to know? Like, I'm sure, because you must deal with it all the time.
There's a classic legal phrase, which is that there is a difference between what the public is interested in and what's in the public interest. And what you're saying is a great example of that. As a matter of human nature, we all like to read about private matters. That doesn't mean we're entitled to read about private matters. And that's the difference. And quite often, newspapers go the wrong side of the line.
Yeah.
So, as news of my medical well-being is not in the public interest, David reassures me that the Sun won't be able to print anything else until I go public myself. And that event is just around the corner. 𝗕𝗏𝗃, Friday the 13th of September 2019. The 2,500 entrants for this year's Ironman have started to gather, and in the townhouse where I'm staying, I've got visitors.
Hello, bud. Coming in. Nice to meet you.
Reporters from the Sunday Mirror.
Yeah, good, man.
So, tell us a bit more about when did you first decide that you wanted to go public with this?
I think I never really decided myself. For me, the decision was made for me.
I know what you're thinking. What a hypocrite. After all he's said and all he's done, he sat there talking to a tabloid. Well, yeah, but the difference is, I have control. I've only agreed to do this on my terms. This is not the paper that has threatened to expose me. I've got control over what goes into the article. The paper has agreed to start a HIV awareness campaign, and I'll be donating my fee to the Terence Higgins Trust. So my conscience is clear. And tomorrow night, the story will break in the Mirror.
and I will post a video on my social media, and that will be it. My story told my way.
It's your own personal reason.
But before all of that unfolds, I want to check on my parents.
Ooh, surprise. All right.
Hello.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah.
You want your
fine, thank
feet?
you.
I think it's good for me to ask how you are, because people don't see that side. They don't see the effect that it has for other people. So with you knowing what's going to happen.
No, I'm looking forward to Sunday. Yeah. You'll have a bit of peace and quiet after that then, because all we've had is, can you have the dog for me to go swimming?
Are you concerned for Sunday?
No, I'm not the least bit concerned. I was more concerned about doing this interview today.
Why was you concerned about doing this interview today? Saying the right or wrong thing, like?
Yeah, because it's very personal, and I feel as if I've been infiltrated by having to do this so publicly. It's like that's what I'm saying. I know I have to do it, but there's also a part of me that is really annoyed with having to do it.
Yeah.
Very angry about it, I am.
Yeah.
Very angry.
I think that anger and that annoyment is justified, because sadly, other people think completely different to the way we think. And I just feel I'd rather do it this way than do it that scummy way, that way they've got a microphone hidden and they're speaking to people not even aware that then people are being recorded, and do it that way. This way, at least we are in control of the message, and the fact that after Sunday, our lives can just carry on as normal without whatever normal is in the Thomas family.
I was going to say normal, okay.
It's Saturday, the day before the Ironman. 12 hours before the news is due to break. I'm feeling pretty good. I hook up with Shane Williams.
Right, son. Got my serious face on that. Game face.
And the buddies I've trained with, and who have got me this far.
Boys, that's Shane.
Go on. All right, bud? I'm good, thanks you. Cheers, man. Thank you, bud.
Lovely.
You've done it before, Gareth?
All right.
No, never. And I'll never do it again either.
Heading through town, the public, as ever, are fantastic with me.
All right, cheers.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, no worries.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's all right.
On the surface, I'm all smiles, but inside, I'm beginning to feel overwhelmed by what lays ahead.
Where my head is at right now is everywhere, probably, but apart from where it should be. It is a really tough time, and all I want to do, I want to grab Stephen, and I want to go to a living room, I want to sit down, and I want to watch crap telly, and I want to pretend like everything's all right, and everything's going to be okay. Because at the moment there's people everywhere, there's Alfie will have a photo, and in my mind I'm thinking, will you want a photo this time tomorrow? There's people saying, oh Alfie, good luck, and I think what I need to do is prepare and just worry, as I'm going to do tomorrow, worry about the moment. So just enjoy what today is. Today is my... Fuck. Just thought about it. Today is like my last... Today's my last day without people knowing. Like, I don't even know what I'll be doing this time tomorrow. And I need to prepare for that. I need to prepare. Maybe tomorrow will be all right. Maybe it won't be, but somehow just need the space and time to be able to prepare for whatever happens tomorrow.
Saturday evening, I release a video onto social media.
Hello, I'm Gareth Thomas, and I want to share my secret with you. Why? Because it's mine to tell you. not the evils that make my life hell, threatening to tell you before I do. And because I believe in you and I trust you.